The year was 1415, and an African empire was about to change the world. This is the story of a continent that shaped human civilization itself, yet for centuries its greatest achievements were written out of history books. This is African History Test, and today we're asking you, do you really know the true story of Africa? Let's begin with a question. When you think of ancient Africa, what comes to mind? Too many of us imagine a continent without cities, without empires, without innovation. But imagine this. In 1324, a man named Mansa Musa, the emperor of the Mali Empire, traveled to Mecca with a caravan so massive and so wealthy that he literally crashed the economy of Egypt and the Middle East. His journey wasn't just a pilgrimage. It was a statement. It announced to the world that Africa possessed unimaginable riches and sophistication. Mansa Musa brought back Islamic scholars and architects. Mali became a center of learning. The University of Timbuktu, established in the 12th century, attracted students from across Africa and the Muslim world. Yet how many of your history teachers mentioned this to you in school? Here's the test. Did you know that the Kingdom of Axum, located in present-day Ethiopia, was one of only 4 great superpowers of the ancient world? The Romans called it a superpower. The Chinese recognized it as an equal. The Persians negotiated with it as a peer. Axum controlled trade across the Red Sea and into India. Its emperors minted their own currency. They built cities that rivaled Alexandria. But textbooks rarely mention Axum when discussing ancient world powers. Why? That's a question worth asking yourself. Now let's talk about technology and innovation. The great Zimbabwe civilization, which flourished between the 11th and 15th centuries in southern Africa, built massive stone structures without using mortar. We're talking about walls up to 37 feet high, constructed with such precision that a knife blade cannot fit between the stones. These weren't primitive constructions. They were engineering marvels. They were monuments to African ingenuity that stood against time itself. But here's where it gets darker. In 1415, Portuguese explorer Prince Henry the Navigator sent expeditions down the African coast. His mission seemed innocent enough: trade, exploration. But this moment, this single moment, marked the beginning of the transatlantic slave trade. Over the next 4 centuries, approximately 12 million Africans would be forcibly removed from their homes. 12 million. Families torn apart. Cultures disrupted. Yet the question that rarely gets asked in schools is this: what was stolen from Africa? What would the continent look like today if this catastrophe never happened? Think about the Mali Empire again. Think about the wealth, the universities, the scholars. Think about Egypt, Nubia, Kush, Ethiopia, Axum, Zimbabwe, Songhai. These weren't primitive societies waiting to be discovered. They were civilizations at the height of their powers. They were rivals to Rome, to Persia, to China. They were creating art, mathematics, philosophy, and architecture that shaped human understanding. When you take that African history test, when you truly examine what you've been taught, you'll realize something uncomfortable. The narrative you've inherited is incomplete. It's been filtered through centuries of bias, colonialism, and deliberate erasure. Africa didn't lack history. Africa's history was taken. Africa didn't lack development. Africa's development was interrupted. Africa didn't lack greatness. Africa's greatness was hidden. So here's the real question. Now that you know this, what will you do with this knowledge? Will you stop accepting the incomplete story? Will you demand better education? Will you dig deeper? Will you share this with others? The truth is, understanding African history isn't just about celebrating the past. It's about understanding how the world actually works today. It's about recognizing the patterns that shaped our present. It's about refusing to accept a path